Why are the scales not moving? It's such a common question. What used to work isn't working anymore, and it's driving you mad. You want to quit, you want to throw in the towel.
But please don't. We urge you to listen to this podcast as we reveal why it's happening and what to do to stay the distance and finally get sustainable results. Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. Guess where we are?
Ooh, we are back in London.
We are. We had, I did a longer run this morning because obviously I've got more stamina, but I did my first run around Primrose Hill and down into Regent's Park, past London Zoo, saw some gibbons. It wasn't James.
You're looking in the mirror.
Oh my goodness. What a way to start a podcast. No, so we're back in London. We arrived yesterday.
I have got a mirror at the zoo. It said, see the world's most dangerous animal, and you look at a reflection of yourself. True story.
Well, we are the most dangerous animals.
We are.
We really are. Don't get me started on that. It's quite deep. But yes, we're back in London, back in the Primrose Hill area.
Primrose Hill. Felt like hell yesterday. So we were a little bit exhausted, as you can imagine. We had our quarantine period at Claire's mum and dad, which was lovely. We got looked after very well. Then, of course, we've had to pack all our stuff up again. Drive up to London, unpack, and just get used to everything and see what it's like in lockdown. And we thought, we'll celebrate by driving to our favourite pub where we got married. And having a takeaway drink. But they had no draft. No draft
dun,
beer.
dun, dun. First world problems.
And so then we drove around other pubs and they were all shut. And we realised, actually, lockdown here has been very different to what we've experienced in Marbella.
I know.
And then it started snowing.
Oh my gosh. So, the weekends was nice. And then driving through Camden and it was snowing. We literally couldn't believe it. It's been freezing, haven't we? I've never been so cold as running this morning. Honestly, though, we are whinging because we shouldn't whinge. We've had like the most amazing time over in Marbella, and we're very, very lucky and blessed that we can do so. So even though it has been a bit hectic, we do know how blessed we are to have had a lot more freedom actually over in Marbella than people have in England have. So we're really, really grateful.
And of course, if you missed it, I hope you didn't. Some of you did make it. Our virtual retreat we ran over the Easter weekend as well, just to load a bit more on. But we had the best time. We had a day and a half. Live workouts, some amazing workshops on basically like setting your vision, keeping your motivation going. We had the amazing Mark Wilkinson on there. We had Georgie Pincus doing some yoga.
Mark's session was amazing. We had such great feedback about from that. So yeah, we were kind of, I say, celebrating. We were marking the fact that we'd done our first Easter retreat this time last year when we first went into lockdown. So we wanted to mark it and help everyone kind of get ready, refocus, regain control of their body and mind in order for us to be unlocked. The roadmap looks like it's all happening as it should, but I know people have really, really, really struggled. So it was just a way of helping people come together, connect, share an experience, be it virtually, and it was just beautiful. We loved doing it, and we've had such lovely feedback. So to everyone that came, thank you so much. We do it because we love it. It comes from the heart, so much passion, and you're helping us by connecting with you because we do miss our real life in-person retreats.
Oh, we do. Can't wait to July when we hopefully are doing one in the UK.
Yeah, if you want to know more about that, go to it's actually, we're also known as 38 Degrees North if you don't know. This is our holiday business, our wellness and fitness holiday retreats company. Back in the day when it started 10 years ago over in Ibiza. So we're 38 Degrees North, allwritten.com. And if you're interested in meeting us live, we have one retreat date in a stunning Sussex countryside estate It is pure luxury, guys. I mean, I'm so excited. It's extravagantly gorgeous.
Oh, it's going to be so great.
So make sure if you want to meet us in person and have some fitness, fun, laughter, and learn lots and lots of things, then go and have a look on that page because it's on there.
Now, before we get into this week's podcast, which is why the scales aren't moving, a really common problem, especially for us midlifers, just to say, do make sure you join our community, the Midlife Mentors community. That is where we presented the whole virtual retreat. So, we're always adding great content in there, great community of people. We'd love you to go there. So the Midlife Mentors community on Facebook.
I'll put a link in the show notes. So why the scales aren't moving. This is such a common one that we hear all the time. And here's a reality check. Won't sugarcoat anything. Plateaus happen. They happen. And the scales will sometimes move and sometimes they won't. You'll get frustrated. But we wanted to do a podcast specifically on this because we know that the tips we're going to give you, and actually the why the scales aren't moving, but the tips we're going to give you at the end will always help you.
And also, I think it's an even more common problem than it was because of lockdown. A lot of people have added on some pounds over lockdown, and I think for a lot of people, overeating, snacking, alcoholic drinks have become a bit of a habit, which, the first thing to do is practice a bit of self-compassion. Of course,
it's been difficult.
Indoors with not a lot going on and not a lot to do. So hopefully you'll find it useful. We're going to talk through, the whys of why people get stuck, why the scales don't move, and what you can do about it, and finish, of course, with tips you can action.
Yeah, I mean, the first one really is around the fact that a lot of people, by the time they get to a certain age, midlife, we have done a lot of crash dieting, and I know James is going to talk to you about this one in a little bit more detail, but I can really, really, really relate to this. I was the queen of awful, faddy diets. I crash dieted for at least 16, 17 years.
Yeah, we see this one a lot actually. People have, hit their 40s, their 50s, and they have sometimes 20, sometimes 30 years of dieting, and unfortunately a lot of the time that hasn't been a healthy approach. It's been that kind of I'm putting on more weight than I'm comfortable with, I'm going to do whatever the fad diet is now, which we hate the fad diets, designed to severely restrict your calories by one method or another. And of course when we do that, it's not good for us. There's a couple of things going on. When we cut our calories so drastically for a consistent period, of course we will lose weight, but we also are losing muscle mass, which is not what we want. So a lot of the time when we do these diets, when it's the weight loss is amazing.
It's water, right? Water retention and muscle.
And we don't want to be losing muscle. So our body will think, right, I need to hold on to the high energy source, the fat store. So it'll start trying to hold on to the fat and actually break down your muscle. And of course, if we're getting not enough calories, even for our basal metabolic rate, that's going to be accelerated. Of course, muscle is what we call metabolically active. When we're carrying more muscle tissue, we're burning more calories even at rest, and even more so if we start to move around and use those muscles. So, this is what happens. We go on a really restrictive diet. The weight comes flying off. We're really happy, but the reason it's come flying off is you've lost a lot of muscle mass, which is actually not what you wanted. And of course, your metabolism has come down in line with the loss of muscle. Result, when you start eating normally again, your body is at a lower set rate for for the calories it's burning. You actually start to put on more weight, even if you're not overeating. And when we've done this over a number of times through our life, we've been on and off these crash diets, of course, our metabolisms end up getting quite confused. And what we generally tend to see is the more
sluggish,
of these crash diets people have done, the slower their metabolism is to respond to, putting them on the right course with a healthy nutritional coaching and empowered eating.
Well, it does, and I know this from my own personal experience and seeing it with lots and lots of clients. It took, people say, how long did it take you to kind of re-establish balance? Well, it took a good 18 months to 2 years for my for my body to recover, and also gut health. If you hadn't listened to our gut health podcast that we did a couple of weeks ago, when you're crash dieting as well and you're missing out nutrients and food groups and you're doing this to your body all the time and it's kind of gone into starvation mode, the gut health really, really suffers. And if you're doing that over 15 to 20 years, even if you're not, even if it's just been a few years, imagine what that has done to your gut health. negatively, I have to say.
I mean, we're not even then factoring in like people chucking in all kinds of like slimming pills
and
skinny sprinkle, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So avoid the crash diet. If you are finding the scales are so smooth, you've done a lot of crash dieting, that is the reason why.
And be compassionate with yourself. It takes a while. You have to be patient.
And you will get there.
You will get there.
Do not do another crash diet to try and fix the crash diet.
Please don't. And, we know, and this takes us on to the next point, it's a mental battle. And I say it's a mental battle, again, because I know it. I've been there. It's a real pull between the head and the heart, right? The head is saying, yes, I understand that this is a lifestyle change. I understand what I've done to my body. I understand that it's going to take a while. But your heart is like, but I just want to lose this weight quickly. I just, it's not working. It's not working. And it is a real battle between that part of yourself that knows what you're supposed to do and the old part of yourself that wants the quick results. What you've got to understand is you've got to expect that is going to be there for you. That old pattern of thinking, that old pattern of behaviour, that old pattern of feeling a certain way is going to keep kicking in over and over and over again because you've had years of experience of that similar thing. Like, it's going to come off quickly. But the thing is, what you don't understand is you can't keep doing that to your midlife body. Your midlife body, I mean, you can't do it to your body at any point. But for the reasons James just said as well, you cannot do this to your midlife body. You get this one body. You get this one home. You need to nourish it and be grateful for it and love it. And what you're doing is not that. You're disrespecting it. And it will kick back at a certain point. And your quality of life will begin to degrade if you keep doing these crash diets.
Another reason is, these are all related, of course. You become used to the quick fix. We live in a quick fix society, and most diets are, when they're invented, I use the word loosely there. They're not really invented, are they? But they're marketed with it's a formula of like the most weight in the least time,
it's
and it's on you go for. Oh, look, I can lose 7 pounds in 7 days. Oh, that one's 10 pounds in 7. Oh, that one's 14 pounds in 5 days.
Yeah.
No,
it's this all or nothing. This is why it's a multi-billion pound industry, right? Because they are designed for you to fail at it. They're designed for you to think, oh, that looks amazing, without any of the other stuff around it that we're going to give you some tips around. Any other, like self-identity, any of the mindset reps, any of the emotional side of what's really, really going on here and diving deeper into it. No, they don't touch on any of that. They just market at you saying this is what you can look like in X amount of time. Yeah,
which leads to the next point I know you want to make, that you become actually indoctrinated into thinking that this is the way.
Yeah, and the only way to get results. I know so many of people out there will relate to that. You might start a new program thinking, yeah, this is the way. I know the other way's not working, but it's going to creep in. It's going to say, hang on a minute, I'm not getting results fast enough. The scales aren't moving. Hang on a minute. It's the only way. The only way to get results is to do crash dieting. And here's the thing: if you do believe that and you carry on that thinking, that behaviour, you are going to be perpetually stuck in a downward spiral and never release yourself from it. And also, James has mentioned about muscle being denser than fat.
Yes, it's an interesting one. So,
well, actually, you haven't. You talked about muscle mass and losing it.
So this is worth talking about. Our approach is very much along the lines of no major restriction. We're all about not making big sacrifices. Still enjoying life, still going for that pint, a glass of wine, whatever. But the rest of the time being empowered with healthy nutritional knowledge. But of course, the other side of the weight loss equation is moving your body more. And as we age, all the hormonal changes going on mean we're naturally losing muscle mass, losing strength. We don't want that to happen. So we should be resistance training, weight training, at least 2 times a week, and adding muscle. And this is the cornerstone of what we do, and we're working with people. It's like, let's educate you and empower you with nutritional coaching, so you're making great choices most of the time. The old 80-20 rule, but you're still enjoying life. But let's get you moving. But in particular, let's get you adding muscle mass. And this can sometimes lead to a sticky point for people. They're like, oh, I'm feeling great, and I think I look great in the mirror, but my weight hasn't changed. You're like, well, listen, we're not. This is what we don't want to talk about weight loss. We're talking about fat loss. Because what you actually want to do is add muscle, and muscle is much, much denser than fat. So if we add muscle, we're going to add body weight. So what we want to do is add muscle and bring the fat down. So often, our weight can stay constant. We say go by the measurements, go how your clothes fit. If you're weighing the same, but your old pair of jeans that you couldn't get past your knees are now like loose around your waist, happy days.
Well, that's why we say, when we work with clients, we say, please, right at the beginning, we say, please don't worry about the weight too much. I know that's what's been indoctrinated in your mindset for so long, because this is what all the marketing does, this is what all the diet fads do, lose X amount of pounds. But here's the thing, that's why we get people to do measurements. Because honestly, or get that pair of jeans and use your progress as getting into a pair of jeans or a tape measure. Take photos of yourself to see how your body shape is changing, because that's the most relevant and empowering way to see your success. One of the other things is check your stress levels. We've done a whole podcast on this as well. Making sure what happens is when we're super stressed, which is quite often when we're at midlife, and especially in the crazy world we're in right now, stress is really high, which raises our stress hormone cortisol, and cortisol has been linked to people holding on, midlifers particularly, belly fat. So sometimes we really, really need to check our stress levels and really understand how to manage them. We can't go through all of those techniques and strategies right now. We have done podcast episodes on how to manage stress, the impacts on your body, your mind, your emotional well-being. But one of the factors that might be making you plateau or have those scales not moving is that you might be going through an incredible stressful period in your life. Your hormones might be all over the place, but especially cortisol making you hold on to that belly fat. So no matter what you're doing, you just need to practice some stress management techniques, some grounding stuff. Go and check that podcast out.
The other thing we want to check in on is our self-belief and our self-identity. In particular, you've heard us, we've done podcasts on this. We've heard you saying you cannot outperform your self-identity. So check in with yourself about the story you're telling yourself. Are you truly believing that you're a person that can make good choices with your nutrition, move your body more, and not only get down to the point you want to be, but sustain that? Or is there a part of you that doesn't really believe that? And if there is, you need to be honest about it and work on changing that. Again, this is a big part of what we do when we're working with clients, is like changing the beliefs so that the self-identity becomes aligned with the goal. Then everything starts to flow and become easier. So check in on that one to make it sustainable for the long term.
Yeah, absolutely. It kind of leads into listen to the inner critic as well. So self-awareness is where power starts. Self-awareness is where your power to change starts. So actually understanding what's going on in your mindset and what that inner critic is really talking about, because that inner critic is going to be there to sabotage you. It's going to tell you that it's much safer. This is about self-identity as well, but it's going to tell you that it's much safer to stay locked in your old patterns of behaviour because it likes the path of least resistance. So actually even just being aware of what that inner critic, that inner voice is saying is really, really powerful, because it's only then can you start to change and develop trust in yourself. I had the most amazing call with a client this morning, and one of the most beautiful things she said was that her inner critic is starting to quieten down a little bit, and she's growing in trust. Jane's mentioned the 80-20 rule there about nutrition. She was really, really always very worried about, like having a glass of wine or having a chocolate here, and then the self-sabotage, the inner critic would kick in. Now that inner critic is saying, okay, I trust you. Well, it's not even an inner critic. The inner critic is going, blah, blah, blah. But her other side of herself, which trusts herself, is saying, okay, I know tomorrow I'm just going to start again. I know it's about balance. I know this is about not restricting myself, because then I know I'm going to kick the other way. So she said to me this morning that the inner critic is quietening down a little bit and that she trusts herself more. That's what it's all about. Because when you don't, you keep pinging backwards and forwards and you keep listening to that inner critic and sabotaging your success.
Can't stress the importance of doing the mental work.
Oh my goodness.
For the sustained success. It really is a game changer.
It really, really, really is. It's what everyone comes out of our programme saying.
So we're going to go on to some practical stuff more around the actual food and drink side now. A big one that people are surprised about is just not being aware of the amount of sugar that they're consuming. And sugar, of course, is highly calorific. It's also highly addictive. It causes inflammation in the body. It suppresses the immune system. Yeah, we don't want too much sugar in our diet, basically. But a lot of sugar is hidden in our foods by food manufacturers. So start educating yourself on labels. You might think, and it's particularly like a lot of foods that appear healthy or are labelled healthy when you actually read the ingredients, you'll see things like different kinds of syrups, sugars, nectars, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, start to read the labels. You're looking for the carbohydrates of which sugars, and anything over about 21, 22 grams of sugar is basically classed as a high sugar food. So start checking for that and becoming more aware. This is often where extra calories sneak in. And not only that, there is evidence that, the more we activate that insulin roller coaster through taking high sugar foods, the more insulin resistant we become, and the more prone we become to laying on fat, especially in the belly area.
Yeah, and actually we become more insulin resistant as we age anyway. So you really, really need to be checking your sugar content of your food. And also this kind of goes on to portion control. Honestly, you might be eating healthy food, but you might be eating way too much of it. We see this all the time as well. So really check your portion sizes and make sure that you're not constantly snacking here, there and everywhere. It matters and it builds up. Again, 80-20 rule. We're not saying this to shame you or make you feel guilty. Everyone's been snacking. It's okay to snack, but being unaware of it and not just mindlessly snacking and not aware of your habits and how they're controlling you is really, really important when it comes to the snacking cupboard. So just beware of your portion size of your normal meals and whether you're snacking.
The other one is alcohol. So often we'll see this a lot. Clients will have gone on a diet of some sort and think they followed it pretty rigidly. But then you talk to them and they're actually drinking 2-3 glasses of wine a night, every night. Hey, listen, we're not saying don't drink. We love a drink, but
that sounds a little bit too enthusiastic.
If your fat loss is your goal, consistent drinking, even in small amounts, is going to hinder your progress towards that. So it's the 80-20 in moderation. Categorically, you won't be losing body fat if you are drinking moderate to a lot regularly.
Exactly. And the other one is don't neglect the exercise part. So we see this a lot. Clients have done all the crash diets, all the fad diets, all this stuff, but they've actually never really moved their body. So they're not used to that part of the equation either. So you really, really have to start moving your glorious body, but doing it frequently as well, because that's also going to raise your metabolic rate.
Yes, lots of benefits to exercise.
Massive health benefits as well, as an aside note, to raising your metabolic rate.
And what I say to people is look, do you want to restrict your diet by X amount of calories and cut all this stuff out, or do you want to just restrict it a tiny bit, bring it down, dial it down a notch, but then start moving your body more? For me, I'm always like, do you know what? I like my food, so I'm going to move my body more so I can eat more.
And massively raising those happy hormone endorphins.
Yes. Now, before we get on to the 5 tips to finish with, this is another one we see from people. And this is because we're social creatures, right? People will follow some sort of eating plan, diet, and they're pretty good for the whole week. But, this is why we hate diets. It's restrictive. They feel miserable. They feel emotionally miserable. They feel they've been good, in inverted commas. So they get to the weekend, they're like, I deserve a treat. It's the cheat meal. It's not a cheat meal, it becomes the cheat weekend. And here's the thing, they might have been doing something ridiculous, like going, I'm going to have 1,000 calories a day, that's my diet. And they do it Monday to Friday.
Yeah, sometimes it's lower than that, it's like 800 calories. Some of the intermittent fasting protocols are like 800 calories, and then eat normally at the weekend. Well, what are you going to do at that weekend? You're going to gorge, aren't you?
Yeah, and then they have the 3-4 fat, and then if you actually averaged it out over the week, they weren't in a calorie deficit at all because they've gone so mad at the weekend. So watch out for that one. It can be easy to be like, you know what, I've eaten lettuce all week, so I can have 2 sponge cakes to myself, but it's the overall calories over an average of time.
And psychologically, it's so bad.
Psychologically, don't do that anyway.
Please don't do that.
Can have your cake and eat it, can't you?
Yes, but just not all the time.
Yes.
So, tips. Okay, number 1, our top tips for when the scales aren't moving is to remind yourself that this is a lifestyle choice. It is not just about your weight. Okay, this is about your quality of life. If you keep crash dieting, you're not doing this for a lifestyle choice. Remember, it is a marathon, not a sprint. You have to be doing it for the internal benefits, for the health benefits, for the mental benefits, the emotional benefits, to make amazing memories when you are older. It's about health. It is not about a dress size.
Exactly. Tip 2, make sure you're moving that glorious body of yours as well as addressing the nutrition side. So don't just think, oh, I'm going to try another diet. Actually think, oh, hold on a minute. That is not working for me now. Let's actually eat sensibly and healthily, and let's move this body again to protect it for the future.
Make it strong. Portion control, okay? Make sure that you are even if you're eating healthy food, make sure that you are looking at your portion control. Get a smaller plate. This is a really, really good way. Get a smaller plate. Actually check what you're eating. Start taking photos. This is what we get our clients to do. Take photos of your food so you're aware. A lot of it is mindless eating and mindless snacking. So if you need to create a food diary, get a smaller plate so you're not eating as much, you're not piling as much on. Take photos, whatever you need to do, just become aware of what you're doing. Mindset reps.
Exactly.
Why was there a massive void silence? I think James, bless him, has got his glasses on. And he couldn't actually read on the laptop one of the other points.
So I know that's your favourite one. I know you love talking about affirmations and visualisation, so I thought you were jumping straight into that one.
Actually, that is my fault because I did say that I wanted to do that one. The other one is to do, obviously, the mindset reps, the future pacing, the visualisation. We teach clients this a lot as well, is to get into the space where you're future pacing. So where you're looking at the person where they have kind of achieved what they want to achieve, they have managed a success, they're healthy, they're strong, they're powerful, you're maintaining it, sustaining it, you feel energized, you feel comfortable in your own skin, completely in control. Visualize what that person looks like, feels like, what are they doing, how are people responding. So literally act that out. That's the future pacing. Visualize. We go into so much of that in some of our other podcasts as well. And make sure that you're affirming to yourself every day, throughout the day, over and over again. Today I am someone who makes good food choices. Today I am someone who chooses to look after my body. So affirming, visualising, those are two techniques straight away that you can do as soon as you come off this podcast, that you can do to keep yourself from worrying about the damn scales, because it's not about that.
And the last point 5, we've already covered alcohol and sugar there, but it's just worth saying, also think about when a day we're having them. This is a really common one we see. People are, in inverted commas, like good with their diet through the day. They follow it really well, but then at the night they get those munchies. Yeah. Or even worse, they have a drink and then get the munchies. Just think of it like you just got all that energy going in from high sugar foods or drinks. Alcohol is high sugar. Going in last thing at night, that energy is not going to dissipate, which means it's going to be stored in the body. Guess what? It gets stored as fat. So educate yourself on healthier snacks, things like your good quality nut butter, small amount of nuts. If you've got your portion sizes right and you're getting enough protein in the diet to trigger your leptin hormone to make you feel full, hopefully you won't be getting snacky later on, but do try and avoid those snacks in the evening and the high sugar snacks and drinks in particular.
I think overall it's just awareness, right? It's being compassionate with yourself. Everyone struggles with this at some point. Everyone gets frustrated, but as we said right at the beginning, it is a mental game, right? It's what you have been used to. Completely understand that. But I just need to say, it doesn't work for the long term. If it works, you wouldn't be in the kind of feast or famine, all or nothing yo-yo that you constantly are. We need to understand that this is about a lifestyle. It's about internal health and well-being. And if you look after your body, your mindset will follow, your emotional well-being will follow. Strong body, strong mind, strong body. Let's start looking after it and stop this horrendous obsession with the scales. Complete obsession with the scales. And that's all I've got to say, really. I'm saying that with such love because I know how hard reprogramming your mind around this stuff is when you don't see the results you want, or you see it and then it stalls. But, it's not about that. It's about a lifestyle and not a dress size. So
it is. I love that.
Anyway, we're sending you lots and lots of love on that. What we'll do is we'll send we'll put our link in the show notes to the Midlife Mentors community Facebook group and our YouTube channel. We're uploading loads of amazing content, free content all the time there. So do check out our YouTube channel as well. Also, if you want to know any more about how we support people through all of this stuff, then do make sure that you email us at
team@themidlifementors.com.
So team@themidlifementors.com. Always open to you pinging us an email. Let us know what's going on for you. Let us know how you're finding these podcasts, what you love, what else you're struggling with, what challenges you might want us to address, like topics. Put topics to us. We would love that. And please make sure that you rate this podcast, that you share it with people that you know would benefit from it as well.
Sending you all a lot of love.
Big hugs, guys. Take care. Mwah.
Bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.